You're listening to the Traffic and Conversion Show. I'm your host, Michelle Fernandez. So, what happens when you launch your offer and all you hear are crickets? How do you know if it's your offer or your marketing? Well, we're going to dive into that today. So, stay tuned. There is nothing more frustrating than spending months and weeks on end doing all the things to get ready to launch your offer and then getting zero response. It's like, is this thing on? Right? It's so discouraging and so disheartening. And the cool thing is, it's not the end of the world. And I'm going to help you figure out why you're hearing crickets. Now, usually you're hearing this for one of two reasons, right? Either you're missing something important in your market research or you fail to capture your audience's attention, right? So no matter which one it is, right? It could be both, possibly. You have the power to turn it around, right? And I want to first start off with your offer, right? So ask yourself with your offer, are you sure this topic is of interest to your audience, right? Are you trying to give them what they want or what you know that they need? Right? This is something that I see people miss all the time. And even coming from the standpoint of you've been in the game for a long time and you kind of forgot where you started from or where those initial things were, and you're even speaking at a little bit higher level, maybe even using certain lingo or things like that, that you're like, oh, they should already know. But you have to remember that it's like they think they need this one thing. They're not at that point yet. Okay. Also, sometimes we're trying to be so different from everyone else that we end up derailing our success because we're going so far out from the tried and true strategies. And then what happens is you fail. I've seen that before in a couple of masterminds that I've been in, where it's like, I'm going to stand out and I'm going to be different because everybody talks about this whole marketing thing and I'm going to try it from this perspective. And they're going so far out that it just misses the mark. Okay. So think about that. Like, how can you be unique, but still stick with those tried and true marketing strategies? Okay. Another thing is, do you have an irresistible offer? Is there something in your offer that makes somebody say, oh my gosh, yes, I want to buy this whole thing. Like, I want to pay this whole price for this one thing that I'm getting in there, right? What is that transformation that you are relaying in your offer that is so irresistible that they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot go another day without having this thing, okay? Another thing when it comes to your offer is, does your offer have too much that it ends up being overwhelming? We often equate value to quantity, right? So you feel like the more you put in, then the people will see it as valuable. Or sometimes we come from a place like, OMG, like there's so much that they need to know, right? So let me just pack it all in there because they need to know all these things. Well, here's the thing. When there's too much or too many bonuses, often people feel like, OMG, I got to do all of that just to make this happen. Like, I don't have time for that. I'm never going to finish that, right? So instead, what is the one thing that can be the promise of the program? Like, have a month's worth of social media content planned, or get your ad up and running, or get up and a webinar up and running, right? So it's like, get all you need to get this webinar up and running so you could start making sales, right? And speaking of webinar, what is your launch vehicle? Are you doing a challenge? Are you doing a webinar, right? Are you doing some sort of book a call or live event? What does that look like for you? And how is that going? This is the combination of the offer and marketing, right? Are you shifting those beliefs during your launch vehicle? Are you overcoming objections? And are you making a case for your offer? Because if you're not, that could be a huge reason that you're missing the mark. Now, when it comes to marketing, which is when you're looking to capture your audience's attention, right? So we're like, how do we know when we're hearing crickets? Which one is it? Now we're shifting from the offer to, did you capture your audience's attention? Are you building that brand awareness? And do you have a strategy to get people into your world, right? Into your ecosystem? Are you diversifying your marketing? right? Are you adding paid traffic to your marketing, or are you just doing everything organically with whomever is currently following you? Or are you looking for other people who have a complementary product and the same audience? And how are you getting in front of them? How are you leveraging your relationships in order to get new people following you, right? How are you leveraging your own knowledge and your own expertise to get in front of other people's audiences if you're doing it organically? And you should definitely be diversifying. I just had a conversation with one of my clients today, and she was saying, organically we're doing good, but it's like we're running out of people to talk to. Exactly. You need to get more people into your funnel. And one way to do that, and one of the best ways to do that, is with paid traffic, because that can be done all the time. You're not leveraging your relationships and waiting for someone to have a live event, or to, for them to publish that podcast that could not come out for a few months. This is something in your control that you can be bringing in the steady flow of new leads. Versus organically, you can be scheduling them out, and yes, it works and offsets maybe your marketing budget, but it's just not as something that you can count on and as predictable as you can with paid traffic. All right. Now let's go back to market research. Have you done this? And if so, have you revisited it? And then are you testing to see if your people are in the audiences? Does that make sense? Okay. There are times that you run campaigns and get leads or get results. However, are they buyers, right? This is something you need to test as well. So are the people that you're bringing in, what is that return on ad spend? When do they actually become a customer, or are they becoming a customer? So when you're tracking or measuring the success of where you're putting not only your money, but your time and your effort, right? Even when you're doing, like, now a big thing is influencer marketing, right? You're trying to get in front of other people's audiences, but you're actually paying an influencer, right, to maybe speak on your behalf. When you're doing that, it's kind of like, okay, but is this influencer, are they bringing me business? Is their audience the right audience for me? And you might think, oh my gosh, yes, but maybe not. So these are things that you need to be evaluating. You need to see how long is someone on your list before they actually buy. Don't make the decision the first time you run ads and have a challenge and you're like, oh, nobody from ads bought. But if you do it again and you offer it to your list, you're going to see that maybe the second or the third challenge you run, they will then become a buyer, right? So then it becomes, how can I shorten that buying period for someone who comes from a lead that then becomes a buyer, right? Now, lastly, when it comes to marketing, how is your messaging? Are you speaking your prospects' language and hitting on what their pains, struggles, dreams, and desires are? Right? I'm sure you've heard me say this over and over and over, because I cannot say it enough. With that market research, with you, like, really listening intently to what people are saying and just regurgitate back to them, okay? This goes across everything from your social posts, in your advertising, in your launch vehicle, in your emails, on your sales page, like in all your videos, whether you're doing them on a Facebook Live, whether you're doing them on your sales page, wherever you're doing them, you have got to nail this, right? And don't worry if you don't hit it the first time, you will eventually get it. You just keep testing and tweaking each and every time. All right, so I want to ask you, if you've ever fallen short, like you've launched and you heard crickets, which is it? Is it your offer or your marketing? Let me know. All right. Cheers to not hearing crickets when you launch. And remember that starting Monday, we have 5 days together where it's all about getting an audience, building an audience that is primed and ready to buy from you. So mark your calendars to be here starting May 23rd, and we'll get that going right here in this group. All right, let's grow your business together.